capital of poultry production in the whole of Ghana. Omo mpesa omo hwe nkoko bia yebeboa omo. Yebeboa no esidan no na nkoko buo no yede amawo. Na yamawo sika na odi aton nkoko ba no. Na nkoko eduane no so yamawo sika no ato. Tukosu a wo ton na wo nya osika. Tukosu ewie na ukoton kokono so na wenya usika enti yaye adwen say the poultry industry bibia ye de ye moa mabuno titiro ye pese mu ye bi se na be ya enkoko enama ye de fi amano ne ba no ye betwa so na ya ye tibi aye enkoko no ha
taniema bi nkoye eniema bi tise
Yeah.
Registration ya be
yeah.
Be register through baby na ya bibi e wo.
Yeah.
Na no baba ya transfer of votes na ade.
Yeah.
Na saade oyi e de twitwitwi aba.
Yeah.
Nti baby bebre amre ntimi mamenka.
Yeah.
Binim wo ha nipa be mpemienu mpemiensa mpemenan.
Yeah.
Bedini ba ye free ho ade ko baby.
Yeah.
Sa ni bakroi anya ba bepe. Ya be call electoral commission o say benyi bedini mfrim.
Yeah.
Na no da o ya de ne ba.
Yeah.
Na de no tia ya kase.
Yeah.
Ya srobe. Edu ba bia na fa ba bi. Ba pesa bibi na kwaso. Sabadi ye bukata na se besisi ye.
Yeah.
Yes, electoral commission for.
Yeah.
Sa de ne benhwe ne ye.
Yeah.
Electoral register obia a register ni di ne wom.
Yeah.
Ben farmer party for.
Yeah.
That be my MPP.
Yeah.
That be my NDC.
Yeah.
That be my PNC.
Yeah.
That be my CPP.
Yeah.
That be my and the share kuai donko.
Yeah.
That be my chada. Na be kwa magum. Ni obia. Na kwa basa benyina ba wodini no na ba hu bibi sanya.
Yeah.
Na munamuni ya timi ehu akokra no.
Yeah.
Ben twene emma ade ne mmene.
Yeah.
Na enkofa hawo enyede mba.
Yeah.
Make a hawi ade amesre electoral commissioner.
Yeah.
Security agencies.
Yeah.
Abana oteso mea de share na do dankwa akufuado.
Yeah.
2020 elections no me manhuni ye.
Yeah.
Manhuni ye kwana mfa so manhuni ye ni.
Yeah.
Ya tachiman.
Yeah.
Bantu aba tachiman.
Yeah.
Se sapo se ni oka ho.
Yeah.
Abatuo ye nyina ye ko police station ni ye ko to aba na anya sa na nanom.
Yeah.
Ya ko aba no a be kire nipa dodo a be wo register num ba be to ye ni e bi anya ye bentali benjo ne pepepe pin sheet be nyin dem fama.
Yeah.
Oye de ni ye nyina ye ko to aba ba declare wo police station.
Yeah.
Na be kwa ka bom wo ba bi a ye nyina ye hia se be ko ka bom.
Yeah.
Oye de ni tuo koto.
Yeah.
Oye de ni tuo to.
Yeah.
Oye de ni tuo to.
Yeah.
Because it's believed we say at the end of that training nyina no obia won there.
Yeah.
Ye ka bom oye de ni tuo tim koto.
Yeah.
E ma nipa be nsia nso anan nwotwe be ye de be hwere be nkwa.
Yeah.
Tutuo afi we de beyond tutuo.
Yeah.
Uni a tutuo a me agima badu antoso mienu. Ma hwe se adwuma kura ma ye megjae. Na no ye be kwa court, ye no be kwa kojina court. No wa kire di kodie ntia esese Ghana ni ba otutuo na uku no.
Yeah.
Voters register na buy no. Ye hu enyoma bebre a atosin e wo register no. Na se ye pese abato no ekoyie na asumdwe etna Ghana. Na e was election commission sorry eye omodwuma yie. E was omohwe sa register ni yie. Na enyoma enye e wo register no mu omohwe no mu siesie ne ntem ansan ya to aba. Inti NDC there your chairman ene wa announce say ye beye oye kire bebia electoral commission office will be a district office. Sa Krodiano NDC for sa da no ye be share entade na ya ye demonstration akoho say ye kire omadwin say register no omosori enya ho bibi. Until on the 17th of this month, NDC is going to demonstrate in every town that has an EC office. Our chairman has announced it. NDC, you wear your T-shirt and you go and demonstrate to the EC office so that we can put pressure on them to do their job and do what they have to do in order to ensure peaceful and transparent elections.
Right, welcome back. Apologies for the late start of the newspaper review segment of the show, but it's always a pleasure to do this. Many thanks for joining us. A reminder that we are live from our studios here, number 48 Swanika Street in Abilengbe, also in 46 other African countries via satellites in some parts of Europe and of course South America. My guests are already seated, but before I introduce them, let us look at the topics that we shall be discussing this morning. Protest against India's Adani causes chaos at Kenya's airport. That's our African story. Alan Chairman Ting picks Kwame Usu Danso as running mate for the December 7 election. TUC joins anti-Galamsey crusade, threatens nationwide strike. And Farmgate cocoa price soars turn up from 20,928 cedis to 48,000 Ghana cedis. If we do have time, we'll look at Pius Enam Hajide. He's been making some comments with regards to the 2026 World Cup, and he has opened old wounds, or I should say a can of worms actually, especially with what happened in 2018. In relation to the Commonwealth Games in Australia. We shall be looking at that if we do have the time. But I've been joined by Rista Niyama Matthew. It's been a while we had him on the show. He's been away for quite some time, but it's good to have Rista back. Rista, good morning.
Good morning.
I trust you're fine. Great. Ambassador. Yes, sir. Ambassador Sampiale is the NDC's Pro Forum president, and just about 2 weeks ago, if I'm not wrong, they made a huge donation to the campaign of the National Democratic Congress. I think some 2 million CDs, 16 television sets, and 1 giant screen. And he facilitated this. So Ambassador Sampiale has been able to raise 2 million Ghana CD. Maybe I should have a private conversation with him if he can raise something for me as well.
And this week we are adding a proper sound system.
Right.
Of all the components to the party.
Great.
So that they don't rent any sound system.
Sound system. Great, great. The NDC Pro Forum, they are doing wonders. They are doing so much. Dr. Elvis Bota.
Boss.
It's been a while.
I do running falling.
So, right, a lot of people miss Elvis, Dr. Elvis Bota on the show. I should make that correction quickly. Yesterday, I sent him a voice note, and in the beginning, I forgot to mention. He came at me, actually. So, Dr. Elvis Bota is a lecturer at University of Professional Studies here in Accra. Okay. Brand new lecturer. This one, Tier Over lecturer. And it's full time actually. He's also an expert in international affairs, security, and strategy. Congrats, Elvis, on this colossal feat.
Yes, sir, boss. Thank you. Give God the glory.
Great, great. So, without further delay, let's get into our very first topic for conversation. We are going to Kenya. Workers at Kenya's main international airport began a strike on Wednesday against an Indian company seeking to lease it, blowing plastic trumpets and scuffling with police in a protest that caused cancellation and delays for hundreds of passengers. Dozens of workers at Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport chanted "Adani must go" in reference to a proposed deal for the Adani Group to lease it for 30 years. So they are leasing the Jomo Kenyatta Airport for 30 years to Adani. And the people have risen against it. It appears that the Kenyan people do not tolerate nonsense. They don't tolerate certain things at all. So the idea is that a controlled indoor growing environment cuts out transport emission from long supply chains and can run entirely on renewable electricity. Kenya's Civic Aviation Authority, the sector regulator, said air traffic control services were fully operational with landings and takeoffs uninterrupted. Outside the terminals, passengers sat on cabs and luggage trolleys waiting for updates on flights as departure and arrival boards were shut off. It's a long story. It goes on and on and on and on. But like earlier stated, it appears that at the slightest provocation, the Kenyan people protest. And this is one of the protests that is currently ongoing when you go to Kenya at the Jomo Kenyatta Airport. Elvis.
So a very good morning to all of us, and it was heartwarming hearing yesterday the developments in respect of our brother Kwame Osudan. So I know we'll come to that, but even ahead of times, just want to extend congratulations, very hearty ones to him, and to also greet my father, the venerable politician, Ambassador Sampiele, and our own businessman. I pray that, our international fisherman. I pray that, I mean, in the years to come, his business will rise up to the stature of the likes of the Adani groups we are just about discussing. And that zooms me straight away into that. I think it's only fair for us to make a very brief profile of Adani Group. It doesn't sound too popular to a lot of people in the West African region, unless you are particularly interested in issues about commodity trade and international security and aviation. But clearly, this is an entity, actually the largest Indian conglomerate, okay, with in excess of over 206 billion United States dollars in recapitalization of markets and other diversifications in African trade. And so a company of that magnitude, you cannot downplay its relevance when it comes to the element of multinational corporations, and that is to mean the activities of commercial businesses, transactions with governments, and so it is not surprising to actually find them in Kenya. They are actually in a number of countries. And what is not even mentioned is that in other European countries, especially in Eastern Europe, you find a very strong presence of the Adani Group in a number of their aviation and coal sector. Now, the issues in Kenya are complex to the extent that for about 4 years running, the Kenyan, airports, and by extension the, civil aviation sector of Kenya have not made any returns in terms of profits. As a matter of fact, a number of reforms were made in the Ruto administration in a campaign, in fulfillment or in attempt to fulfill a campaign promise of ensuring that state-owned enterprises, begin to yield the needed profits. And some of those efforts arrived as lame ducks and so could not make the needed impact. Now, the decision of the Kenyan administration to want to actually lease, in fact, a long-term lease of this aviation, their airport, to Adani Group for as long as 30 years is actually a step to cover their shame, so that it doesn't mean that the state is now the one responsible for the rots, but a private individual will now come and turn things around. And for me, that is where the utter stupidity in terms of business strategy comes in. And it has not always been the case that African governments don't know what to do. It is always the case that we do not make profits in state-owned enterprises following things like corruption and the pursuit of personal satisfactions. And this, respectfully, cuts across almost all African nations. State-owned enterprises don't do well, but soon as we actually privatize them, they begin to do well. Meanwhile, in some of the instances, we actually privatize these entities to private organizations that are actually owned by people who are major players in governance. Are you getting the paradox? So what is the demon in governance that blocks common sense? Are you getting it? And a sense of business strategy in governance rather than, what we actually see in the private sector. One thing we fail deliberately to comprehend is the fact that governance in itself have moved from just simple acts of ruling to serious business. So you must run your economy as though you were running a conglomerate like Adani or any other bigger conglomerate in the world. Any president or government of a nation state that do not view things from that perspective is still in the era of the World War I. Because after World War I and World War II in particular, the era of the Industrial Revolution actually catapulted and transited the global arena into the neoliberal order, where you cannot talk without involving issues of privatization, issues of international trade. It need not be privatized. I get it, but nations becoming primary actors in the interest of the resources and other economic values within their territories. How come that Europe and Western nations are able to lead the vanguard of the forward march in this regard, actually creating generational wealth for their future, all right, for the state? And in Africa, we seem to be in a reverse trend. Obviously, we are on the reverse. So if you come back to actually look at what is happening in Kenya, it is but just a little microcosm of the true reflection of the situation in a lot of African countries, including Ghana. Now, they chose this path of desperately trying to cover their shame, hiding under Adani, okay, without making an analysis of what the adverse impact in the immediate and in the long term will be on their own citizens. Now, Adani is saying that their first investment, even in the next few working days of September, active business days of September, is to invest 1.85 billion United States dollars to correct a number of systems that are malfunctioning and to improve operational capacity at the airport. Now, you know what that's going to do? That's actually going to lead to several job losses by the ordinary people. So government have not negotiated with Adani Group what the alternative economic livelihood options will be for these Kenyan citizens, majority of whom are actually going to lose their jobs. It is already estimated by labor experts in aviation that at least some 32% of, lower to middle level labor force will have to lose their jobs as a result of this. Do you think they should sit down?
No.
At a time where government is unable to create jobs, government is taking decisions that are actually culminating into job losses. It's a senseless application of common sense. You have a reservoir you are unable to fill with water when you should be filling it with water. And fortunately, by providence, the reservoir was filled with water by rain, and you chose to go and pour it away. What are you? And for me, I'm very disappointed at William Ruto because, look, we all spoke for him, believing that a man from the woodworks of Kenya who understands the plight of the ordinary poor person in Kenya and coming from one of the very impoverished parts of the country would have better understood the plight of the people. So can we conclude that Ruto is either, not particular about the things he gave as promises? He must have actually woodwinked the people into power and behaving the opposite. And the pain is that anytime he is at the center of such national controversy, he is quick to play the victim, as though he is the one some other forces he defeated are deliberately working against. Yes, in the equation of leadership, all right, in that algebra, you cannot take away the deliberate attempt of adversaries to want to pull you down, because it is a system of push and pull forces. That is politics. If you cannot navigate skillfully and maneuver your ways out of those, treacherous engagements and make your people better, then you've got no business with government. And that is what we actually suffer in a lot of our countries and in a lot of our governments. In our own situation, if we go into an analytical merit of things, you realize that successive governments have acted in similar manner. Now, to conclude, your assertion that is like the Kenyan people, it's not as if they are intolerant. They are simply fed up with governance of deception. They are simply fed up with the activities of, neo-colonialists and the establishment and entrenchment of imperial metropolis in their affairs. All they want is self-governance. All we also want is self-governance. A government that works for the good of and for her own people. That's what we're talking about. So the demonstration should continue. I urge that they should go up on every single street in Kenya, all right, and resist fiercely. If any group wants to act as a business actor in Kenya, they should go back to the table and have a conversation with trade union, have a conversation with the ordinary employee and workforces rather than just government, because government are proving to lack the capacity to be able to speak favorably in the interest of its people. There's a legitimate business interest for Kenyan to want to protect in this. Why are they doing so? Now, in a second, let me establish and announce that African governments should remember that our forefathers warned us, and especially that, theory was postulated more so by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our own, that the colonialists will return, but in a different fashion. It may not necessarily come from Europe. You see, that is what is at play now. The rise of China and India in global affairs cannot be underestimated. The fact that they may not have played an active role in the era of the slave trade does not mean today, if they are coming to us, they are coming with a handshake. No, they have national interest they are pursuing, and in the pursuit of national interest, no nation state is truly bothered about the affairs of the other. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Elvis. What I very well said. Let me come to Ambassador Sampi Ali.
Well, from that doctoral lecture, I think I have very little to add. But Elvis, is it not time that a certain research is made to find out why state institutions fail? Because you would have found out that in your classes, if you had traveled outside, some of the students that were with you in class are the same students who are going to do better in Europe and other countries.
And we come back and fail.
And we come back and fail. Often we are even better than them in classes. So we need to have a certain research into why African countries fail. Because if we don't do that, when is it going to stop? Today is Kenyan failure, not forgetting that my own airline eventually turned into a choba. You understand? Is it still there? That choba, is it still there?
It's hanging there.
And if see, my own national airline, which used to be the pride of Africa. We flew visiting DC-8 and had the best routes to America and to Europe. What did we do? We turned it into a choba, and since then they have not come up again. Now, focusing on the issue of Kenya, it's becoming very interesting that the youth of Kenya had not taken a certain posture, that enough is enough. We will not allow anything that would destroy our own future. You remember before this, sometimes we forget that the Kenyan youth had issued a warning to international creditors that, look, stop giving loans to Kenyans because we won't pay. They even gave that warning to IMF. Stop, we won't pay because it is we are going to pay. So a certain kind of awareness has now flown to Kenya, and like Bota, I really support them. You see, we cannot live in a world in which a generation thinks that it should consume everything, not thinking about the future generation. We cannot live in countries like that. It is not that it's a hopeless situation. We have one classical example of Rwanda, where Africans have been able to, take their responsibility in their own hand. Even after that dangerous civil war that killed about 800,000 people, they've been able to now put themselves together and come up to say, look, enough of yesterday. Now, if you come to Brongahafo region, I was watching a certain film where a man who was installed as a Nkoswahine, a village called Dumesua or something.
Yeah, around Sunyani.
Around Sunyani. Within 1 year, has mobilized the people to transform the town. That small village. Now, people are going there as tourists. Bless. What I'm saying is that it is not impossible. It is a real possibility that we can go do what is right. You see, Ruta, your friend, is behaving like Bawumia, thinking that by distancing himself from his own president, he can, take advantage of the feelings against his former president, and then ride on it. But if you buy a tiger, a small tiger, and you start riding on it, you keep riding. When it grows, you see. And that's what has caught on him. He started making a lot of Pan-African statements, and that to all of us started supporting him. I remember on this table, we were praising him for his Pan-African, that day, for his Pan-African stance. What has happened to all that? What has happened to all that? Now, what Africans cannot do, Indians can do. Is that a story? Mr. Doctor, India, look at their population. I have been there. You see, and India as a country did things strategically. It was developing both its private sector and it's also its public sector efficiency. For example, this president, the current prime minister, said the first day I was there when he was inaugurated, and he said, look, you countrymen, India is no longer going to be seen as a country of snake charmers. Do you understand that? Yeah. It's not longer going to be seen as a country of snake charmers. It's going to be a country known for its medical tourism. It's going to be known as a country known for its industrial development, especially IT. And you know what he did? He chose 4 of the states. And you know Mumbai. Yes. Mumbai, Kumasi, as the commercial capital where all trading activities take place on behalf of the government. So Delhi has now turned into be the administrative capital. Chennai and others. He built Bangalore, 4 giant buildings. And you know what? He invited international ICT companies and gave the flags to them free of charge for 10 years. Many people didn't understand. Today, most of the ICT things we are talking here are being developed in India. If you go to India, American hospitals and all the ICT in health are being developed by the Indians. So I'm saying that, look, countries are organic. Countries don't just run the way we are running ours. They must be managed. They must be managed. If you want Accra to be anything, you don't just talk about it. You put intentional approach. And this is what most African countries are lacking. Presidents, when not in power, people not when in power, they seek to find all the lies. I will do this, I will do that, I will do this, just as a passage to becoming the president. After that, nothing happens. Because they may not have even conducted any research into the things they were saying. Are you following what I'm saying? Its impact. So at the last manifesto committee of the NDC, I think you are very familiar with this, we said for every policy we are announcing, the committee chairman, please make sure that there's an implementation plan. And there must be a costed budget on all the things that we are doing, because we have come to the conclusion that the next NDC government, we are not just looking for power. We are seeking to reset this country. If we reset it and leave it and people come to improve on it, fine. But if they come to support another, but we were determined to say that, look, we have had enough of raw politics. We have had enough of that. Our next government is to reset country where education works, health works, everything works for the good of the country. You see what I'm talking about? So, Richard, I think you are one of the committee chairman.
No, I'm not a chairman, but I lead
a fishery. So you have developed your.
I'm on the Greek.
You have developed your.
We are even meeting to.
Yes,
develop.
That is how we determined this time to bring up the manifesto. You know, so it is not like what is happening in Kenya should be something everybody should be happy about. You know, when your brother's beard is on fire, you have to go to Ghana Fire Service because it may soon come to yours. But it ought to send warning signals to other African countries. Nigeria, they have done well to call it. But see, in Ghana, I'm old enough to understand the mood of Ghanaians. That, look, we are not going to do demonstrations, we are not going to cause already because we have a lot of problems on our hand. If you are wake up in the morning and you have not even eaten, going to demonstrate the way Kenyans are doing may not be the best option. But bless, I am telling you, what is happening in Ghana is far worse than what has been happening in Kenya. The only reason why Ghanaians have a little hope is that come December 7th, you know, they will have the right to choose another government. And the danger will start when on 7th December, a wrong announcement is made of who the people want to become the president. That is when our test will come in.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Ambassador Sampiale. Mr. Richter.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning to all the listeners, the wonderful people out there. You see, when the doctor and the ambassador speak, I'm left with very little to say. But you see, I keep wondering what meaning we've made out of the famous statement by Osachifo Dr. Kwame Mugabe. He said that the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
Oh, you mean your country?
Yes. Unfortunately, the black man has not been able to manage his own affairs, and we keep throwing things out there. If you know where Kenya and Ethiopia are located, you know that that is a very important route to the Eastern Trade Bloc. So Kenya and Ethiopia should compete fairly with Emirates, the Qatari airline, and then the Turkish. Yeah, but that basically it becomes the transit between the West and the trade bloc in the East. So it's an important trade route, it's an important airport. And so you expect that it will be managed properly. If you pass through airports like Schiphol, which basically serves more as the central hub for movement around Europe, you see the traffic flow, the number of passengers that go to Heathrow, and they've made the airport so user-friendly. I always love to go to Heathrow because it's so user-friendly. It's so difficult flying through Dubai because you need to board a train and it's quite complex. So, you see, Kenya is strategically located. They have one of the best airlines if they decide to manage their airlines very well. And so they could easily be the best trade route, especially with this kind of system where airlines are working together. So, for instance, if Kenya Airlines is working with this, I don't really fly Kenya, so I don't know which of them. But if you have this Blue Sky and all of them, and they belong to one of these, it makes the work very easy. So the challenge then is, why is it that we are not able to take advantage of the positioning of Kenya? Not only that, Kenya also has a lot of ecotourism attraction, which should make it easier for people who are transiting Kenya to want to stay for a day or two and have some tourism activity except when they have other business matters for which they would want to move on. So they could stay in Kenya and get attracted to all the beautiful tourist attractions that exist in Kenya. So you see, when you have a system like that and you are not able to manage it, and somebody sits at India and looks at the potential, why would the Adani Group want to put so much money into the Kenyan aviation sector if it's not profitable? Because it's profitable, that is why they want to invest in it. So the challenge is that why is that Kenyans themselves are not seeing the opportunity that they have, the sector that they control? Why would we want to throw everything to some other people because they are bringing money? One, we are not building enough internal capacity. So, in some instances, we have the capacity, but we don't treat our own with the respect that they require. So you see, the Adani Group may go into a long lease agreement and then bring in Kenyan experts to do the very things that our government will not allow our Kenyan experts to do, because we will view everything from political lenses. And so, yeah, he may be an expert, but when I was campaigning, he didn't contribute a dime to my campaign, so he doesn't qualify. Or that when I was campaigning, he wrote an article against me, or that he belonged to another political party. So, despite his knowledge and expertise, he doesn't fit the bill. We want somebody who belongs to a political party. The other thing is that most of our partisan politics activity, because the state lack the ability to support political parties function properly, have been funded indirectly by foreigners who have business interests. So then when the time comes, they come to call for their pound of flesh. And so you are compelled under the circumstances to give state access to them. And they don't manage it well. We had instances, we have one of the best dry docks in Africa. Go and see the ruins at the Tema shipyard. We basically handed them over to Malaysians who couldn't do anything with it. They didn't improve the infrastructure. They made money, and then they abandoned the project. Today, ships that would want to go for dry docking go to Togo, which has a smaller dry dock, or they go to Cote d'Ivoire. And when a vessel, even a fishing vessel goes to the dry dock, the minimum you will spend at the dry dock will be about $40,000 minimum. So we send those money to Togo and Cote d'Ivoire for dry docking services, just because we are unable to manage our dry dock. You get it? So the challenge has to do with the need to build that internal capacity, the need to rely on our own internal ability to build our sectors, not just the railway sector, almost all our sectors. The Kenyan youth may be fighting today, probably because they may be losing their jobs. But the issue should go beyond just losing jobs to building that. If you want to build the kind of business system and structure that the Adani Group have, India was deliberate about it. China had been deliberate about building Chinese businesses and moving them into across the group. Basically, they are Indians and Chinese are controlling even Europe and most of American businesses. Korea have been deliberate about it. And they are not just deliberate about what they do, they also build capacity. So when they have aviation schools, you go there and they teach everything about aviation, including economics. Even if they are fisheries school, you go there, they teach fisheries economics. So they are deliberate about it, and they build that capacity from very early stages. The last time we were in the University of Rhode Island, just about 2 months ago, they were having summer schools in the university. And you know who were coming for the summer schools? Young children. they had come with their parents, and the summer school had been departmentalized. So they are those who had come to summer school for the sciences and were taken through chemistry, physics, biology. There were those who had come for the engineering summer school and they were at the engineering department. When we went 2 weeks earlier, those who were coming for fishery summer school had come and left. When I say they were accompanied by their parents, you should know that these are minors. These are young children, 13 years and below, who had been kept in the university, and many other universities were doing that. So the children are now in the universities and were learning from the university what careers are available for the courses that were being taught in the university, and getting a clearer understanding of what is it that they have to do. So they are conscious about building a future that would take over from the current generation and do better. We don't even, there's no relationship between the university and the basic schools that we have in our country. People in basic school know up next to nothing even about course or career opportunities. Occasionally you have a career day and teacher will say, oh, you are good, so you can do science. But people are conscious about building the economy. And the only way you can build the economy is to build your human resource. There's a human resource base that will manage your economy. So if you lack that human resource that you would need, that is when you want to rely on other people who will bring in their money, because they'll tell you they'll bring in money and technical expertise to improve the conditions and management of the facility. I'm sure from Ambassador, he knows that for Nkrumah's 10-year development plan, he was deliberate about it. And so you realize that the educational infrastructure was not just put up. I tell people that if you come to Tema Technical School is sandwiched between textile companies, TTL and GTP. You get it. Now, one of their main courses is textiles. And they have other, and so the school is situated such that it is within the industrial hub. So in training the middle level manpower needs at the technical school was to open them to opportunities that are also available within the industrial hub. And so they are able to link academic work with industry. We had gratis around the same area where they also build the requisite skills that people would need to be able to be useful to industry. So when you even need to do your industrial attachment, or you want to have a practical feel of what you do, it is not difficult for the school to move you to the industry to understand and link reality with academic work. So there was a deliberate policy to link academic work and industry. And that is what a lot of the countries that have developed do. Unfortunately, we are not deliberate about how we are building, and that is particular with the Anglophone countries. The Francophone countries are a bit better because of their linkage with the French, even though the French are exploiting them. They are also a bit deliberate about how they are building their countries. But you realize that the Anglophone countries, we are more, we want to follow more of what the British do and not build our sector. And that is one of the challenges that Kenya is facing now. I support the Gen Zs and what they are doing, but I feel they should go beyond that and push for deliberate policy, push for deliberate effort to build business people from amongst them. It's not enough to just go on demonstration and try to get government to do things. They need to start doing things for themselves. They need to show the capability to build businesses. But you see, if they don't build businesses, they would always resist things, but at the end of the day, they will not be able to manage them. And when businesses are around and they cannot make profit anymore, then there will be a problem, because then the unemployment situation will continue to come. And you will see all of us still lining up at the embassies to look for visas to go and do jobs we ordinarily may say we didn't do in our country. The youth must be deliberate about managing and owning the economy and running it. And the only way they can do that is to push so well that they become part and central in the economy. You know, I was talking to a banker yesterday and said, well, now banks in Ghana can no longer give loans. And one of the reasons they can't give loans is that people are taking loans and they are unable to pay. So they are even reducing the cost of payment so that people who are defaulting will be able to pay. And that is becoming, because a friend of mine wants a loan of just 150,000 Ghana cedis, and he's not getting. You understand? So it tells you how low we have sunk as a country and probably as a continent. So the whole idea of the African Continental Free Trade Area is becoming a joke, because you need to have the commodity to trade. And
it's actually been a joke from the outset. I mean,
and so if you are not able to produce and you are not able to be competitive, then you cannot trade amongst yourself. And you want the Indians to always come and take over your economy. You want the Chinese, you want the now the Russians also want to come into Africa. And so basically Africa is up for grabs again, just as it was up for grabs during pre-colonial days.
Right, thank you very much, Ristani and Matthew. I have some messages, I'll do a few of them. Welcome back, Ni Rista. Dr. Elvis, and congrats, bless. Kindly inform Ambassador that his Pristia Takrade friend, Eben, wishes him well. Thank you, Eben, for your message. Good morning. My name is Mubarak. When Nkrumah made the statement, black man is capable of managing his own affairs, he wanted to give us that hope and that confidence as Africans that we could do it. But unfortunately, we failed. Blessed that day Nkrumah died. I was not born, but I could feel it in my mother's stomach, and I knew Africa was doomed, but we'll survive, because second Nkrumah is coming. I know it. Thanks. All right. Thank you for your message, Mubarak. Emmanuel Martin Uredu says that let me see. The MPP's love, passion, and dedication to our farmers is second to none. The MPP has consistently proven that they love Ghana and Ghanaian farmers. The cocoa price increase is a clear signal that from 475 in 2016 to 3,000 in 2024 is a big announcement to make merry of. The Great Minister, Dr. Brian Champon, has done very well, as he has proven to be a hard-working minister under this government. All right, thank you so much, Emmanuel Martin Oriedu, for your message. Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm says, good morning, my brother. Permit me to use your medium this morning to congratulate my brother and friend KOD for his nomination to partner Alan of Movement for Change to be the running mate for the 2024 elections. I'm so proud of him and the youth of the country. Bless. It's time we stop beating around the bush and call a spade a spade. President Nana should be held responsible for what is going on currently in the country when it comes to Galamsey. My brother, this is a president who said to us that he was ready to put his presidency on the line to fight the canker. But the same president passed an LI 2462 through parliament to allow mining in our forest reserves. Who does that? I've seen the president come out to address the nation. The answer is no, simply because he does not. Have you seen the president come out to address the nation on Galamsey? The answer is no, simply because he does not care. All right. Thank you so much, Alhaji Hamza, for your message. Let me wish Madam Agnes Ampia of 3 Days Rental a happy birthday. This is coming from your son, Evans Aggregati, and the entire staff of Vans Royal Decor and Catering Services at Tema Community 11. Right. Let's proceed to our next topic for conversation. It's an interesting one that we all have personal interest in. Our very own Kwame Osudanso, who I don't know if I should say who was host of the morning show, because it appears in the coming days for a long time he's not going to be on this seat, and so Kwame Osudanso is now, and it's official, is now the running mate to, he has been nominated as a running mate to the leader of the Movement for Change, Alan John Kojo Chairman Ting. Yesterday, I think the news came out yesterday And for some of us, we still had to take, it took some time for it to sink in properly that this was truly happening, because I didn't expect it. A lot of my colleagues over here didn't expect it. The news just came poof like that. We're all taken, by surprise. And I received lots of calls yesterday from people who know that I have some form of, proximity to Kwame Osudan. So lots of people, calls from parliamentarians, people from the MPP, the NDC, calling to confirm if this was true. But it is true. This is a reality. And like earlier stated, we all do have some form of interest in this particular story, because one way or the other, we've been in contact with Kwame Osudan. So I'm starting with you, Ambassador Sampiale. And what this exactly means for him, Kwame Osudan, so, and for politics, Ghanaian politics in general.
I was sitting here listening to you and evaluating why you were surprised, and why many MPs and people like me would be surprised about this nomination. Yesterday, I did a lot of work about this thing. I was just there when I received a text message. The source I will not tell you.
I know it wasn't Kwame.
No, it was not Kwame.
Yes.
But from somebody very big in Kwame's scheme of affairs, that Kwame has been nominated as the running mate. I loved. Immediately, I was put in a box of, is it true or is it not true? So I started making calls. After I was satisfied that the news was true, I started analyzing it. The story of Kwame is like the shepherd boy. Is it the shepherd boy that killed the Goliath? Is it David?
Yeah, David. Yeah.
David. So from today, I'm going to call Kwame the shepherd boy. You see, God does things differently from how all human beings do our things. From nowhere, he picks his own son. From nowhere, he picks his own shepherd boy. I'm not in the movement for change or what. I'm a known NDC man, but I am happy that Alan can make such a choice. You see, when they launched their GTP, at first I didn't take it serious, that book. But after listening to Solomon, Ohininto, and the other guy, Apia Dankwa and rest, I decided I should look for a copy of that book. And you know how I harassed you?
Yeah.
So the one I got was from Alan himself. I studied it. And in one of my usual posts to you, I said I have read the Great Transformational Plan, and it's a very solid document. I am not the person in the mood of being envious of my political opponents when they are doing right things. I'm not. The only problem I have with Alan is that he joined a wrong and dangerous political party.
Yeah, this will beg to differ.
Don't mind Elvis. Don't mind my nephew Elvis, because he knows what his uncle is saying is true. Sanyasa, Anka, Obi, your original chairman, now we don't have feet in the party. Look at your original chairman, the type of original chairman you have. Look. Are you looking at my mouth?
Yes, I am.
So don't.
In the direction of your hand.
Yes, look at the caliber of your original chairman, and you are sitting here.
They were elected. Maybe I didn't.
Well, but if a political party is going to elect people to lead this country, the political party has an obligation to appoint people like Kwame Osudan. Right? Now, since yesterday, in fact, I called my daughter, Amma, to congratulate her, because I knew that he was going to be in such a situation, and that if people were not around her, he was going to have a bit of psychological trouble. So he poured out to me, and I told her, look, Amma, have you committed any crime? Sitting there, have you committed any crime? I said, no. Has Kwame committed any crime? He said, no, Kwame has not committed any crime. And all of us have just known Kwame to be just a mere friend of Alan, isn't it?
Yeah.
And for Alan to have chosen him, whose son, if chosen, would have rejected it. Look, that if Alan has selected you, you say no. Kwame, Chief, if Alan or any political party has selected you, would you say no?
I'll answer you when I'm making my
not MPP. You know, for me, I think this is a huge statement by a political leader that the youth matter. Kwame is far older than David when God chose him, isn't it? Kwame is not a nunquam. Kwame is not a non-entity. Kwame has climbed the steps of success one step at a time. As far as I know him very, very well.
Yeah.
Kwame had climbed, you know, when he decided to do law, I said, all right, my friend, you want to add law to this? I thought you were going to chase Buddha into the doctorate grade, you know. God bless, what I'm saying is that God has a plan for each and every one of us. And John Mahama, your friend and brother, our friend and brother, went to the office as a vice president, no so, and came back as what? How many minutes? From the confirmation of at 37 that President Mills has passed away to when the announcement was made, how many hours was that?
Just 4 hours.
Yeah.
Are you following my analysis? So nobody has a window of opening to his destiny. God has his own path for everybody. And for me, if a politician as astute as Alan has chosen Kwame, even though it's not my political party, I have every cause to be happy and proud. Because I have a son that is at the age of Kwame, which means that the youth has a voice. You see, every youth in Ghana has a voice, isn't it? Put that aside. I had one useless journalist this morning, excuse my French. One female useless journalist. Now like there, who are you? Is it because you can sit at the tree station and rattle nonsense? Don't you listen to Pan-African television and Kwame's expose? You see, I thought that as a journalist, I should even be proud that my co-journalist has been selected, isn't it?
Yeah.
I am proud that my young lawyer friend has been selected to support such a colossus like Alan. And let's look at the dynamics of the future. I'm an old man, but I can project the future. The butterfly is just a movement, isn't it? Mm-hmm. They're going to spend the next 4 years maybe building their structures. Okay. In the next 4 years, what will be the age of Alan? All things being equal, isn't it? So do you see the political path of Kwame? That one day he'll be the first youthful president, and that if you are associated with Kwame, you should be proud. I asked for prayers for Kwame and his wife and his my brother Kwesi Pratt, that we should be strong in our prayers to support Kwame, because once he has been nominated, a lot of the Agosu people and the Phobia people, they are going to start fighting. You know, Agosu fight the supporters. When Has is playing Hazakes, they are against. When Olympics is playing Hazakes, they are against. I'm one of the supporters, so I'm not indicting anybody. But for every Ghanaian youth, you must be proud. For every Ghanaian lawyer, you must be proud. And I didn't even know that Kwame was in the creative industry.
Oh, he was.
In fact, that was where he started.
That was where he started.
Really?
Yes.
As a singer?
Yes, he had a hit song.
You can tell it was very popular.
Popular, like it's not as if he just did.
Even one, but I didn't know it was Kwame.
Yes.
Won talent shows before.
Yes,
So-
Next Cafe Revelation in 2008.
So it's not like he's been dropped from hell.
No.
Kwame has been around.
Yes. He has been through and he has
You know,
been there.
and from that beginning of being a dancer, singer, up to the point of being a lawyer, it's a lifetime achievement.
And a huge inspiration.
Even people who have not gone to law school say they are lawyers. What about Kwame? Please, I am ready. Anybody to fight anybody who goes against Kwame, even though I'm not a butterfly man. But we have a duty to protect what is right.
Yeah.
Listen also,
Yeah.
we have a duty to protect what is right. If you go to somebody's garden and you see a budding rose, do you destroy it?
No.
Because it's not in your garden. I have no doubt at all that Kwame will be a better vice president than many of the vice presidents who are marauding on our shores. Kwame will be a better vice president than people who are saying God sleeps and God doesn't sleep. Kwame, this Kwame. Do you listen to him on the couch with Kojo Yankson and the rest?
Yeah.
And look at the last week, his expose. And I tweeted, Kwame, you make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Some sense. Yeah.
You know, so me.
So it was actually it was that day. It was just 2 days ago. It was just 2 days ago. I was that.
2 days ago.
It was just 2 days
when
ago.
I made a tweet.
Yeah, he sent. Yeah.
You see, Kwame has been selected like David for the youth of this country's politics. I remember 4 days ago, I was reading his petition to the special prosecutor about the sports ministry. You see, he has not even become a vice president. He has not talking for the youth. So bless. I am in on all force, supporting Kwame, and I wish him well. I wish his wife very well. I know my daughter is a very strong member of the NDC, but that does not mean that her husband's destiny should be altered because he's a strong member of the NDC. My brother Kwesi should not believe that because of his links here and there, Kwame is this. No, I don't think Kwesi even think that because I've spoken to him yesterday. I'm in NDC, but I'll keep praying for my son-in-law and my brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me come to you. It's the Liam of you.
You know, there's one thing people. Kwame is also Tema boy. The father was a police officer in Tema at 17, so that's where he actually started life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at least we get the vice president from Tema.
Yeah.
So, and you see, you know, when you told me about it, I was so excited, so I called Kwame. Well, the first thing is to congratulate him, and it's exciting because we have two young men in this race. Because if Benamona successfully files his nomination, yeah, we also have one young man.
Yes. Oh, this program has produced one president.
You get it. So we have one young man who is a presidential candidate, and then one other young man who is a running mate to a colossus like Honorable and Kojo Chemantin. And the day Kwame said that, oh, well, he had some ideas that he discussed with Honorable and Kojo, and he was like, okay, put them on paper and come, let's discuss it. And I knew that, well, for
you told me about that too, that you had some paper.
Yeah. So it means that he made an impact on him. But if you speak to somebody and the person say, okay, these are your ideas. Can you document them so that I can digest them properly? It means that the person sees some good in what you are saying.
Yeah.
So when you told me he was, he's actually filed his nomination with him as his running mate. So it's not about just being nominated. It's actually the running mate once their process go through. Yeah, is a running mate for the very venerable Alan Kojo in this year's election. To me, was significant. Not just significant for young people like us, but it's also significant for persons who have ideas as to how we should shape this our country to discuss it. They should not be shy about whatever ideas they may have. People tend to look down on young people and feel that maturity and wisdom lies only in age. Fools grow up, somebody said, excuse my word. So if you're a young person and you are wise, your wisdom will follow you out there. If you're a young person and you decide not to be wise, you grow up and you'll be given responsibility and you fail. This country had once been governed by young people, and when Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah and others were leading this country, they were not old men. No. They were young men. Former President Rawlings, the Hoyes, all of them, at the time they were at the helm of affairs, they were not, they were not old men. They were young men. You understand? Because we were kids, we saw them to be old men. But look at the time that they were the people governing this. So if Kwame is 40 years, you could not just say it's the president of Senegal today is 44 years old. Macron was 39 years when he was elected president of France. So when Kwame is matured, he's been through the mills, he's been in the he's been a musician, he's a lawyer, he's done a lot of things, he's a business strategist and all of that. So if somebody is a strategist and he's been nominated for a country that lacks strategy to work with Honorable, I am happy for him, and like my uncle ambassador said, it is time to pray for him to have the strength to go through that rigorous campaign process, because campaigning is not an easy thing. It's time consuming, it's money consuming, it's a lot of challenge. You need to run across this country, meet all manner of people. You need that kind of mannerism that will allow you engage people. And if we have anything to offer, we should offer him our prayers, our support, and our guidance. We should continue to talk to him. Those of us who are able to talk to him, we should continue to talk to him to encourage him, because this is just the beginning. It will catapult into something better. And I was going to call Lawyer Pierre Dankwa to tell him that also when they were doing their nomination, he didn't even call me to tell me. You see, that my only worry is that we are no longer going to have a after show kinky party again. That's the problem. Because God won't be here to organize after show kinky party. But I can assure you, I'm so excited about it, and I love the fact that, of course, it's my Tema boy who is out there and making all of us proud. And from
Achima Safo to the vice, from Achima Safo, Elmina to the presidency. Elvis.
Let me say this before I proceed with my submission. I'm going to come from two angles.
Birthday.
I'm going to come from two angles.
You know they actually celebrate their birthday on the same day.
Yes. He's a 23rd March born. I'm a 23rd March born.
Yes.
I'm also 23rd March born.
Except that they happen to come from the 70s and 80s, and I came in 1990s. So. Okay, so I'm going to make my intervention from two angles. One of them is a controversial analysis of the devil's advocate in Kwame's nomination. And I'll do so very brief in just a minute or two. The second is to make an appraisal of the implication of Kwame's nomination on Ghanaian politics and the role of Ghanaian youth in 2 minutes. Now, because I'm going to sound controversial in my analysis just for knowledge creation, I'm actually going to state my personal opinion, what I told Kwame when in the heat of what appeared as bashing and chastising both on him and his wife, I made a very profound statement to Kwame to encourage him. He personally actually reached me on phone to tell me about his nomination, and that was an honor. And so I'm going to read what I sent to him and what I also published on Facebook after sending it to him. I said, "Congratulations to my brother KOD. Now listen to my words and heed in prudence. Many will wonder why and even try to discourage you or chastise you as they are doing or disagree with you. Even me, I wish you joined me in the NPP. Sure. But, now comes my real advice to him, but, proceed in the encouragement that there's nothing like little or small or insignificant in the algebra of nation building. History has a natural mechanism of recording heroes." These were my words to my brother, KOD, and I mean these words. And so, my other analysis are only intellectual in nature. This is my true position to KOD, so congratulations to him once again. Now, on a very sarcastic note, my uncle, in fact my uncles from the NDC on the panel today, I marveled at their excitement on Kwame's nomination. I think that if the clock could be reversed, they may have wished Kwame to be appointed as their running mate to JM. Anyway, granted he was, they are too excited and I'm wondering why they didn't get Kwame as their running mate. No, but that's on the sarcastic note. Take it easy. You know, so now, this news came up and like Daddy said, the implications on the wife being a forerunner in the affairs of the running mate of the NDC.
Yeah.
So she's no less a person in the campaign architecture of the NDC. So for her husband to be a running mate in another political movement, all right, then it raises very critical concerns in the minds of ordinary people who may, without a scintilla of understanding the philosophy behind their individual paths, will descend negatively and unfairly on them. And that exactly was what started yesterday. And I'm sure a lot of you, and like Daddy said, you listened to one journalist making comments this morning. I didn't hear that. But for you to be having the outburst you had meant that they were negative. Now, clearly, at the end of the day, with everything I heard, some of them on social media, some of them on direct calls, people knowing how close I am to Kwame, one thing that is arising, okay, is the fact that, okay, barring all else, could it also be a strategic move? And this is the devil's advocate angle I'm coming from. Could it have been a strategic move by Kwame as an extension of his wife's political agenda? I repeat, devil's advocate. Because you have the movement of change being, the movement for change being a group emerging or that emerged from the NPP as a wing that opposed to mainstream NPP ways of doing things, and in their judgment, most of whom were actually unfair to Mr. Alan Kojo Chiramanten when he was vying to be flag bearer. And you know my personal relationship with Mr. Chiramanten as well. A man I respect and honor a lot. He's actually my father. There's no debate about it. Now, if you have a vociferous, intelligent young man like Kwame, whose political analysis, when he moves away from being a host to actually being a panelist, the trajectory of his debate, giving that complementary role with the revolutionary ideas of Alan Chiramanten, whose movement, obviously, from a very critical analysis of the 2024 election, he's not going to be the winner of the election. However, in the scheme of the tussle between the NPP and the NDC over the presidency, if you have KOD partner with Alan Chiramanten, it strengthens the public political communication against the NPP, which is the incumbent. Are you getting the analysis? This is me being an intellectual here. Yes.
Is there a fear?
There's no fear. I'm producing knowledge. It has implications for all the players in the election, especially for the NPP.
Go ahead. We are listening to you. Go ahead.
Now, if that happens, Kwame as a youth who will draw some youth to himself, all right, and by extension to the movement for change, giving the main roots of the movement of change being Alan Chiramanten, majority of the youth and people Kwame's aggregation with Alan will poll will be NPP folks than NDC folks. So, obviously. No, I'm making an analysis respectfully. Are you getting it?
I endorse you.
So Kwame's nomination, whether it is deliberate, whether it is calculated against the NPP or not, will work a harm. If he should have any move to fly, that harm will be against the NPP far more than it would
be to the NDC.
On the NDC. And that fetches indirectly, not directly, that fetches indirectly into the political basket of the ambition the wife is promoting. So Kwame's move is not to disadvantage his wife in the NDC.
Sure.
Kwame's move, on the contrary, okay, will advantage the position of the wife. Let's watch it. This is strategic.
Sure.
I don't see Kwame's nomination as a by chance thing. It's strategic. Now, this is the Devil's Advocate, Volume 1. Devil's Advocate, Volume 2. I have heard the silly conclusion by some pundits that it may have been a movement of a young man in desperation of popularity and for the accumulation of wealth. I have heard that too. I have made this conversation with people also. Could that also be the case? Well, granted, in the low terms it is. This life achievers are those who take opportunistic capitalization of circumstances.
Sure.
So Kwame must proceed, therefore, in a very unapologetic manner, even if that were to be his motivation. These two postulations from the Devil's Advocate are critical for our analysis into the impact of movement of change in the era of Kwame Owusu Danso as running mate into the political, dispensation in the coming few days. Why do I say this? By demographics, you have, the reality is that a lot of Ghanaian youth, those of us in the NPP, those of us in the NDC, okay, are actually honestly fed up with the nature and treachery in our politicking. That's the reality. Now, the youth, we may not have built enough gravitas now to do as Kenya and other countries are doing, but it is like the fire set in cow dung. When you set fire under cow dung, unfortunately, anytime you have the accumulation of cow dung, that's the feces of cows, they don't produce, carbon dioxide that quenches fire. They actually have a lot of potassium content. So it rather aids the fire to burn from within. You may never know there is fire under it. That is the science of cow dung. And that is why it is a good organic material to help plants what? Grow, because of the potassium content of it. Now, it means that if the Ghanaian youth finds expression in this analogy of fire under cow dung, then there is a timing bomb that would explode at a time we may not be able to bridle its escalation. So then, Kwame as a young man, vociferous man, I know his dynamism, all right, his relationship with people in the showbiz where he himself started from, all right, his relationship with people in the security sector where his father worked nobly, retired and passed in peace, have implications. The implications are that it's going to be a motivation to a number of Ghanaian youth, most of whom may not vote for him, but will have admiration for him. And that is a credit card. Now, the danger for my party, the NPP, under these kind of circumstances, all right, the simultaneous interactions in the happenings in that camp, okay? Now, juxtapose that with the rise of another youth, Cheddar. That young man, Cheddar, he may not be right, but there's leadership in him. You may have questions on what the public or some people allege as integrity crisis of his past. Who doesn't have a past? But there is leadership in the voice of the guy. Watch him critically. He will not win elections. He may not make a significant percentage, but he will also be an inspiration to the youth. Now, the PNC had produced my own maternal senior brother, my maternal cousin, Bernard Mona. All right? He is also a young man, and he's been around for a while. He's not new within the political landscape. If not for anything, he has mastered the art of organizing public demonstrations against the positions of government that he thinks and believes are not in the larger interest of the Ghanaian people.
Yes.
So the aggregation of all of these factors strengthens the place of the Ghanaian youth, at least to positively rebel via this ballot, either by way of apathy against the ruling party or by way of apathy against the civic assignment of voting. And so, on this basis, it is important for the NPP to go back to the drawing board. Not because they may be immediate threats by themselves, but because the dynamics in the atmosphere, especially in the communication landscape and the debates going forward, will change. The NPP, therefore, must be very critical and aware of these pointers I have given, and stop gagging the many people with talent and skill and intellect who can wisely talk to appease the hearts of Ghanaians who are disappointed with certain things the government have done, while simultaneously creating a platform to be able to ask for some forgiveness and to convince some of these people to give the NPP a second chance. Very critical for the NPP, because we may be able to make the 50% as a party. So the 50% is not the problem. The fundamental denominator in the derivative here is the +1 required by any of the parties to win. But I'm concerned about the NPP here. My uncles can be concerned about the NDC. So, granted, with the so-called, those we perceive as superhuman in the NPP, and have actually mortgaged the communication, the strategic communication of the party to just an individual or two who must garner all the popularity, and a few people who sometimes do actually not make sense. I've been telling my party that if there is a major problem in the NPP in this election, it is our inability to communicate some of the success stories the government have made. And what has that done? It has promoted negativity against us than positive. Sometimes one good can be the reason a soul will be saved from hell. All right? We saw it in the case of the alabaster woman. So even if there is that one good about the NPP, How are we communicating it? The politics of communication in the NPP may cause our defeat in the coming election. Can we correct that? A lot of us may be disappointed, but a lot of us are willing to right the wrongs of the NPP in another NPP administration. In that regard, can the hierarchy of Dr. Bawumia's campaign stop gagging and stop pushing away people who want to bring in an element of truth, honest in our analysis that, look, we are wrong here, let's admit it, we are correct here, let us promote it. Can they stop pushing us away? Else, what Kwame just did will begin to replicate in a number of critical MPP youth. If there are men of wisdom leading the charge in these few 80-something days left in the NPP, this is the time they have to call on us.
Right.
This is the time for us to go back to the analysis board, all right, and place a good step out there. Congratulations to Kwame. Fire on double cylinders. You are not answerable to any humankind of your aspirations and your endeavors. Just take good counsel and make a move. Never sit, never stay stationary. You must at all times, and this goes to the Ghanaian youth, we must at all times fly.
Be on the move.
If we cannot fly, please let us run. If we cannot run, I beg, let us walk. If we cannot brisk walk and we have to crawl, let us crawl.
Yeah.
But by all means, we must keep moving.
Moving, right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
What did my daddy say in fact?
You've been giving the ocean to drink, and it didn't suffice. Will it take up 87 days?
I hold no comment on that.
Well, right. Let's do some messages. Our time is up, but I'll take time to do a few messages. I've received several of them. This one here says, "You are real, Dr. Elvis. Thanks for throwing light on NKB Cheddar. He's a great guy who made it from nothing, period." All right, thank you for your message. Please, let's pray for our brother Kwame for his new appointment in politics. Wish him Allah's blessings and protection. From Zongo Youth President Ashanti Region, Alhaji Kuko Said. Thanks and many thanks goes to the Almighty Allah. Thank you so much for your message. Wow, anytime I listen to Elvis speak, I learn something new. I like to listen to him speak. I know some MPP members will not be happy with what he's saying, but it's factual, and you are very factual, right? Thank you. Good morning, my brothers, and by Allah, I really admire the MPP guy. I like him so much. Brother Kwame Osudan, so congratulations to you from Malam. Okay, all right, thank you. Your Excellency, your comments about Kwame's choice is so joyous to hear. But don't you see it as negative to the NDC? They do from...
like it's negative to the NPP, especially in terms of communication.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Yeah.
The NDC is happy.
But that is not to say that you are preparing to go and destroy him.
No.
As for you,
Me.
I'll do a few more messages. This one is coming from Dipko Ishmael. Champion KOD, accept my warm congratulations on your nomination as a running mate to Honorable Alam. Though I had wished you joined the NDC, I don't doubt your competence as a musician, journalist, lawyer, and now a politician. Congratulations to you once again, my brother, Dipko Ishmael at Wa Old Traffic Light. Elvis knows that, I'm sure.
Yes. He's a great guy.
Yes. Let's do some more. Good morning, Bless. Age in governance has no use. What has an 80-year-old done to Ghana? George Indebugri from Wa. Right, thank you, George. This is Peter from Tamalitel. Apostle Elvis Bota, I need his number. Okay.
What's his name? I'll give it to you.
Alhaji Said. Alhaji Said, yeah. Yeah. Good morning, Bless. What am I reading on your screen? KOD as running mate of Alan. Wow. Yes. I say, mashallah. Sorry, Ambassador Sampiale. I'm leaving NDC to the butterfly.
So this analysis, NDC is happy because directly, even if they are not involved in the processes influencing this guy is going there, my senior brother is going there, but it still works in their good.
This is
MPP must do analysis.
I'm telling you.
It's not. I'm being honest.
But bless. In all this, I want to tell my son, KOD, that he was not chosen because he was arrogant.
Yeah.
He was not chosen because he's rude. And he has no business to travel
On that tangent.
on that channel.
Yeah.
He has no business whatsoever.
Yeah.
If it goes that way, you harm himself.
Yeah.
The people you see on your way up and the people you see on your way down.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
to those NDC people who are not happy with my comments, I would make the same comments if any of them was given the chance.
Yeah.
My comment is coming from the fact that when you see a rose flower budding nicely in somebody's garden, you don't approach it. You admire it.
You actually made it clear in your submission.
And especially so when the person in question is one who has not disgraced himself in the body politics of Ghana. You understand? From a musician, from a low beginning to that level, must be appreciated.
Yeah.
And like Elvis said, the youth has something to celebrate about, isn't it? And for me, the equation of Buddha, I'm not getting the theory properly. I'm not getting the theory properly. You see, in politics, you take advantage. Should there be a run of what is going to happen? I will go to my nephew to talk to him. So the matter is closed.
Right.
You see, so the theory is understood now.
Right. Good morning, Bless.
House from here.
Good morning, Bless. My congratulations to KOD. My regards to my brother, Dr. Bota, Stephen Peng from WA. Stephen Peng is one of our ardent viewers, actually classmate to he was classmate to Alhaji ABF Husseini. So it's not a small one. Yes, he's a senior citizen, one of our viewers.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Doctor on the panel is a good communicator. I like his analysis. It's great. The MPP big man should immediately call him specifically this time, even though I'm an NDC. All right, thank you. This one here says, good morning, Bless. My regards to Mr. Richter and all the panel members. I've enjoyed today's conversation. All right, thank you so much, Abdurrahman. You sent that one. Brad from Kintampo says, congratulations to my boss KOD. Congratulations to my mentor KOD. We know he is where he is from God, and God is going to bless him. Congratulations once again. May Allah guide him in all his political endeavors. Okay, you didn't tell me your name. This one here says that, do you know that Sefa Kain and many others were trained in journalism by Radio Gold? Do you know that Baumia got scholarship during the NDC regime and was invited by Dr. Dufo to the Bank of Ghana? All right. Right. Thank you so much for your message and for that information. Good morning to your panelists. In fact, Dr. Elvis, I admire you. Can I get your number, please? I'm Ignatius from Bolga. Ignatius from Bolga. Good morning, host. In fact, I'm very happy to hear that Alan has chosen our brother Kwame to his running mate. Kwame is not a careless driver. It is God who has pushed Kwame. Let's be happy and pray for him, as Ambassador said from Kucho Zongo, youth president. I'll do a few more messages from Facebook. Mohammed Misbahudin says, I know Kwame Osudan so will deliver as the running mate of Alan Mohammed in Techiman. Dear host, tell Mr. Elvis that he is good in politics, but he's in the wrong party. Rashid says, I'm Rashid from Gambaga. I admire Elvis anytime he speaks. Keep it up. And I must confess, I want you to be my role model. Okay. Okay, thank you. Jojo says, good morning, Koku and the panelists, especially Ambassador Sampiali. Please give my warm congratulations to lawyer KOD. Okay. Kuku Boss Steven says, good morning, Pan African TV. I want to use this opportunity to congratulate Kwame Owusu-Dan. So, all right. So, congratulations are in order.
I want to interview our former MP, the one who says a lot of proverbs. Because on a program, he can mention KOD's name about 100 times.
But you know, but interestingly, he doesn't make a mistake when I'm the one hosting. He wouldn't mention.
No, but that guy is sharp.
Yes.
Uncle
Yes.
Hussein is
Yeah,
sharp.
Yes.
no, I really want to hear his
Yes.
comment about disappointment.
Yeah. Oh, so he called me yesterday. So one of the people.
So my analysis, listen, in international political theory, there is this minority party alliance and that can collapse a government.
Yes.
That is what is happening.
I don't know where your fear is.
I'm not afraid.
The only thing
I
is that
said from the beginning, I'm being intellectual.
Let us conclude that Elvis is in the wrong party.
Oh,
He's been told
You
that
are in the wrong
a million
party.
times. This is the umpteenth time he's hearing that.
With this
Right.
acquisition of knowledge,
Our time is up,
This
but Stephen Payne is actually reminding me that Alhaji ABA Fuseni was actually 2 years his junior.
Oh, I see.
Yes, so Stephen Payne is not a small man. He's an ardent viewer. He's
Okay.
always glued to Pan-African
and
television.
he's my father.
Yes.
So we are in the same club.
Even though I owe him,
Exactly.
I owe him a call.
We are in the same club.
Right, so that's all time will permit us for today. It's been a pleasure coming your way with today's segment of Good Morning Africa, the newspaper review segment. I beg your pardon. Thank you, Elvis Bota. Thank you, Ambassador Sampiale. Thank you, Mr. Ristaniama Mafio. It's been an insightful conversation. And to you at home, thank you so much for your time. I'll catch you tomorrow, Friday edition. Alhaji ABA Fuseni will be here with us. I can promise that. Do have a pleasant day.